A lark and her momster are coming your way. Gonna tell it how it is, so won't you join us today?
Okay.
Sound chickadee check, sound check. See, I'm not in a bad mood. I just have to go through things and then I'm fine.
Okay, good. Yay.
I need to just louder.
Okay, good. Yay.
All right, we are biggity back. I don't know why I said that. But we're back.
After a 2-week hiatus because
the world is going to shit. Well,
it's going
at least
to hell in a handbasket.
this country is going to shit. But the plantations are burning down.
They are. Not away.
I know.
Which is kind of...
No, it's good.
It's kind of...
It's good because it's like ancestors are saying no more.
Correct.
Now, I will say...
The ghosts are rising.
I will say, what I don't like plantations or what they were built upon at all. What I appreciate is like the Whitney plantation, which is a beautiful place, but they don't allow weddings. They don't allow like parties or celebrations.
It's strictly for the history and understanding, it's not recreated.
Exactly. And that I can appreciate.
Well, yes, I totally agree. And they're lucky to have the funds to keep it up to do that.
They don't. It's all through people donating now.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, that could have happened with others, I guess. Yeah. But
it's people decide to profit off of
amen.
weddings and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I just feel like ancestors and spirits they're just saying, okay, you're going to ban butts while we're burning plantations. So,
yes. Yeah. I agree.
But yeah, so we took a 2-week hiatus because self-care.
Self-care?
Self-care is important. Yeah.
Yeah. My hiatus wasn't for self-care. It was just for self-preservation.
Fair enough.
Self-care. I am like
self-preservation.
Self-preservation. It had nothing to do with care. I was doing well.
I think that's even better. Honestly, yeah. I think that's probably more on point and more truthful.
Yeah. The agency I run has lost all of its government funding.
really
including its
shitty.
child abuse prevention funds because of the shit show that's happening, and so that means hard times. It means
this is why we drink.
Yeah, it means we have to lay off staff. We have to reduce program services. There are going to be more children without roofs over their heads and without food on the table. And
really, really depressing.
It is.
Yeah.
And more families who don't have the skills and the expertise to be able to be the best parents possible.
Which is actually a pretty good lead into our topic today.
Yeah, but first, can we talk about the wine?
I was going to say, that's part of self-preservation. Is drinking, and if you're sober too, amazing. But we do have a very good wine today that I'm not drinking, but Mom is. So I'm going to ask her some questions because based on what I'm reading, Vendori Prosecco is from the Veneto region of Italy. I'm sorry if you're Italian and listening to this.
So our Italian friends say, as long as you put the emphasis on the final vowel.
Okay, I hope that's right. Okay.
Vendori.
Okay, let me finish.
Vendori.
Okay, it's from the Veneto, whatever, region of Italy, and is made with Glera grapes bottled in the Prosecco Appellation.
Huh?
Appellation. Appellation.
Apple?
It says Appellation.
Appellation.
It's Appellation,
but not
Appalachian.
Right.
Okay. We're fine. This wine is obtained from grapes carefully selected directly at the vineyards. It is ideal as an
aperitif?
Sure. And pairs well with...
You're just really having a hard time today, aren't you?
I am, and I know this word is hors d'oeuvres, but I read it as hors d'oeuvres in my head.
You're really struggling.
I'm struggling.
I wish we had hors d'oeuvres.
Well, it pairs well with hors d'oeuvres, delicate first courses, sushi, fish, and shellfish.
Good thing, because we're having fish tonight.
Woo! Some people describe it as having a pale, light yellow color with crisp perlage Fruity notes of peach and green apple, hints of acacia and lilac, and a fresh, light feel with balanced acidity. Say that all in one. It's pink.
It is so peach.
It's very peach. Oh, it's very peach. Would you agree?
No lilac in there that I can taste.
No lilac?
No lilac.
All right, so it's just peach. Peachy.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a fruity, peachy, but it's pretty. It's a pretty color.
It is a pretty color.
It would be really pretty with, like, actual peaches in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a cool drink.
I would get it again.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Cool.
It's really not bad. And you know what? If it was bad, I wouldn't care because I'm so gonna drink it.
Preservation.
Yep.
So today we are going to talk about an interesting topic that I came up with on the toilet because that's where I come up with all my best ideas, or in the shower, mostly the bathroom.
I have to tell you about an email that Lauren sent to someone this week. She said, "I'm so sorry for the delay in responding. Susan and I are like shits in the night."
Are like shits in what?
The night!
I don't. Okay, you're gonna have to explain that to me.
Ships in the night, passing. Ships passing in the night.
Oh!
She said shits passing in the night. And she sent the email and I'm CC'd on it. And so I call her and I'm laughing so hard. So hard. Tears are streaming down my face.
Hilarious.
And I said,
Freudian slip.
I said, would you like to reread your email that you just sent? And she goes, what did I do now? And
oh my God, that's hilarious.
Please read your email.
That's amazing.
No.
That is not what our topic is about, but I like that yes, we do take shits in the bathroom. It's also where I have great ideas, or just some ideas.
Yeah.
Ideas in general. So today's title is If Mom Raised Me Now, Lessons, Laughs, and a Little Bit of Sass. So we're going to talk about some lessons maybe that you learned from your mom, and honestly, if you had me in today's climate, how would you raise me? Because I'm barely making it through as an adult. I wonder what parents are like thinking now.
I think parents are struggling to figure out, I mean, they're hoping that things will change. Well, I shouldn't say all parents, because some parents are perfectly fine because they're racists.
Yeah.
But
we don't talk to those parents. Those parents aren't listening to this podcast.
Hopefully. Or we might be on somebody's list somewhere.
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah. So I think if I were to have you, I would continue to raise you the way I raised you before, to stand up for yourself, to stand up for those who don't have a voice, I think I'd be more terrified around some of the things that are going on. I didn't have that. If anything, I felt like the world was hopeful.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, because there was progression.
Yeah.
Even if there wasn't somebody in the White House that I really liked, at least they weren't horrendous.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
They might have policies I don't agree with, but they weren't doing some of the hideous stuff that's happening now. I don't know what it's like to send a child to school and worry about whether they're going to get home okay, because somebody might walk in the door and pull a gun and shoot people. I didn't have that.
Or kids and being detained by ICE.
Well, that either.
Yeah.
I mean, I do still kind of worry about traveling for you because of that. But, I also have a staff member who's from Mexico and just went and came back and had no problem. So,
well, that's good. It's really just kind of it's a crapshoot, apparently.
But yeah. So anyway, I don't know what I would. I know of some things I would do differently. I would listen to you more. Mm-hmm. I would validate you more, your feelings and your emotions, and try to help you work through and find ways to to regulate those emotions differently.
Right, instead of just cutting them off.
Right.
Yeah.
Or saying, you know, oh, well, you know, you have a choice. You can
Have a good day or a bad day.
Right. Because that's the way I was raised. You either have a good day or a bad day.
Right.
You have a choice. And,
Right. Which I do want to say there is some validity to that. There is some, you know, sometimes I have to ask myself, you know, like today, my day was shit. My day was shit. And at the end,
tell when I was talking to you.
I know, but at the end of my day at work that was shit, I asked myself, I'm like, but do I want to have a good night or do I want to be in a bad mood all night? And I was like, I want to have a good night. I want to just chill. I want to enjoy. I still want to go to a rage room, but that's for another day. But at the same time, that's a choice that I can make. But I can also regulate my feelings because I'm 34 years old.
And had a lot of therapy.
And had lots of therapy, y'all. It's been over 10 years of therapy. So, yes.
Well, and that therapy may not have been as needed if I had done a better job of, if I had known
Right.
what we know now.
That's
if
true.
I had been aware that there were different ways to help children regulate their emotions. Because back when you were young, we didn't know that.
Right.
You know, it was a systems theory approach in terms of how families functioned. And
A patriarchal one, right?
well, not so much because you were an only child of a single
No.
mom.
I
but
just mean, but I mean, the system was created by the patriarchy of like how.
it was actually created by women. Systems theory was not just
Oh,
women.
really? Okay.
Virginia Satir was one of the premier family therapists. But, you know, I did what I knew based on my graduate studies, based on, you know, obviously how I was raised.
Right.
And like many people out there, I figured I turned out okay. So I tried to improve upon what didn't work well for me, and that was mainly related to adolescence. And so instead of trying to pull you in too much, I tried to give you more autonomy to go out and make mistakes, to go out with your friends. And if you were late, I didn't have negative consequences.
Oh, yeah. There were a couple times.
I didn't have negative consequences for you.
There were a couple times, but that's okay.
Like when?
Oh, I remember going out late once and you were like, you didn't tell me you were going to be out that late. You were in so much trouble, but you were already asleep by the time that I got home. So I was like, tomorrow morning's going to be fun.
And what happened the next morning?
Yeah, I just got yelled at and then, you know, you're just mad at me and disappointed, which is way worse.
I was disappointed. It wasn't so much.
The disappointment's what...
I know.
The disappointment.
Well, and that came out of a whole trend of of communicating disappointment as opposed to, you know, other negative consequences. It was
Yeah.
like not punishment. I'm just going to talk to you about how disappointed I feel about you because your behavior
Right.
didn't. So that was a whole thing going on back then. So I, again, was just following what was
That's why we all feel like failures now.
the kids your age.
All our millennials were just all feel like
I'm sorry. We could have gotten back to spanking. I
No,
guess.
I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather. I mean, now we celebrate disappointing people. So it's like a thing.
So yeah, I think there were a lot of things we didn't know. We didn't know about children's brain development.
Right.
Back when I was in graduate school, it was still the debate about is it
Nature
nature
versus-
or is it nurture? And
Right.
today we know it's both.
Yeah.
That you can't nurture until you know what your child's nature is.
Right.
And back in the 90s, all the parental guidance was around consistent parenting following these guidelines.
Oh gosh.
And today we know that you, even in the same household, you can't parent two children the same way.
Right.
Because they have different needs.
Yes.
And different abilities around regulation and re-regulation of their emotions.
Yeah.
They may have different academic requirements. They may have different psychological requirements. And that there's nothing wrong today with needing therapy or,
Not at all.
or finding
Yeah.
those supports. But back then, it was like, if your child needed to go to a therapist, you failed as a parent.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're a horrible parent. Mm-hmm. And so that created a lot of barriers. And if I had it to do all over again, I'd have gotten you into therapy a lot sooner.
I know. We have had that conversation, which would have been great, because I think we do. I mean, and it's proven that trauma is passed down in DNA. So, it's...
Amen.
It's, it's like, God, get yourself to a therapist as early as you can and work through it so you don't create those cycles.
Yeah, and you had trauma on both sides. I know we've talked about it in this podcast before.
Yeah.
And everybody has, their DNA makeup makes them different in how they handle situations. For some reason, other than the fact that I know I have depression and anxiety, so I take lots of medication, I think other than that, I tend to just kind of manage life, figure it out, and go on, and try not to take things too personally, and try not to get so emotional around things that I'm dysfunctional.
I'm functional for the most part, but I'm like the way opposite.
Right. So it's sort of like I'm me, and I have a child who's not me, that I don't understand because I'm me.
Right.
And all I know is me. And I'm trying all of the techniques that I know.
Well, and probably
things that
working. But probably things that you also thought might work for you. Like, I wonder how often parents kind of go, well, if it were me, this is how I would want to be.
Well, totally. I thought about that with my thinking through your adolescence versus my adolescence.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
And I found one of the things that I hope you found helpful is I tried to push you to take risks.
Oh, yeah. No, that's my favorite thing that you definitely did. You pushed me to take risks. You pushed me to be... you pushed me to be self-sufficient in a lot of ways. I just didn't listen to the money part. But everything else, I took the bus. I knew how to watch out for myself. I knew how to be careful. I didn't know how to be as careful because we didn't have crime podcasts back then. So,
and you would still call me from the bus stop and go, "I'm here alone." When there's a
there was one. I do remember I had to walk home one night a couple blocks further than I normally get dropped, or normally had gotten dropped off on the bus because there was a stabbing on the bus that I was on. I was in the front. I didn't see it. It was in the back. But I remember being like, what happened? And someone in the back was like, oh, this guy got stabbed back here. And we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there are a lot of things that I think made me stronger and kind of more on an external level. If that makes sense?
It does. And... again, if I could go back in time, I would have validated your feelings more, helped you walk through those emotions, saying, I totally understand that you're struggling right now and that you're having lots of big feelings. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to have those big feelings. What can we do? What can you do to work through those feelings? Let's try some deep breathing.
Right, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about where those feelings... Are you feeling angry?
Or why the feelings are happening. Right. I saw a video the other day, and it was great. It was a father talking to his son, and his son was crying, and you don't really see this a lot, but he was like, hey, it's totally... yeah, you have your feelings. Have those feelings. It's okay. It's okay to cry. He's like, Daddy cries. I cry. You're like, it's good. What, like, let's talk about what's making you sad. And and the kid was like, well, I didn't remember what to say. And he was like, that's okay. Like, I forget. He's like, Dad forgets what to say all the time. But do you want to try it again? And the kid was like, yeah. He's like, cool, let's try it again. And you're okay. Like, if you need to keep crying, that's okay. And I was like, damn. That kid's going to be so good when
emotionally capable
strong.
Of re-regulating himself.
Exactly.
So, if I had to do all over again, I think that's one of the things that I would do is help you understand your emotions and the reasons behind those emotions, and figure out different, let me see if I can say that again.
You got this. You got this.
Figure out more effective ways of working through them.
Yeah.
So that as you grew into adulthood and those situations would come up, and I will say, you are a very challenging child.
I'm a challenging adult, so I don't doubt you.
I mean, those emotions for you were big.
I was carrying all of my family's trauma, okay? I was carrying all of my family's trauma because y'all never worked through it, so.
Well, we didn't know we needed to.
Well, it was all in me, okay?
Yeah, okay.
It was all in me.
I mean, I can remember one time you were throwing such a temper tantrum that you were hitting your head on the floor and screaming and kicking, and you could throw a temper tantrum for they used to have something called extinction.
Oh, no. I'm very familiar with it because I work in ABA.
Right.
I know extinction.
So you ignore the behavior.
Yep.
And the behavior goes away.
Doesn't. Not all the time.
Didn't happen with you.
Well, and that's why we've stopped using extinction so much in ABA as well. Because it does not always work.
No.
Sometimes it can actually make the behavior worse.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Anyway.
8 hours you threw a temper tantrum.
Damn, that's impressive. What? 8's like the number for me. I was 8 pounds, 11 ounces. I threw a temper tantrum for 8 hours.
Yep.
It's like,
Yep.
oh, okay.
For your 8th birthday, what did you do?
I don't
that was
remember.
Spice Girls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Love Spice Girls. But I think that you're having that more emotional regulation, helping your kid would definitely help in today's society in 2025.
Oh, wholeheartedly.
Like if you were raising me now,
Definitely.
it would be huge, because how does a kid go to school and, we're not learning real history, or you learn a certain history at home and then you go to school and you have a teacher telling you you're incorrect, or you have a teacher telling you...
Or not telling you anything.
Or not telling you anything.
I think that's more the case in most situations, because they're not teaching real history.
I never saw my classmates get taken away. There are kids watching their classmates get taken away in ice situations.
Not at schools right now.
Well, but at bus stops.
Yes.
At bus stops.
Yes.
So they're still seeing this happen.
Yeah.
So
it's really just so horrible out there right now.
It is. It is definitely dark days. I do have hope. I definitely have hope, but definitely, dark days.
It's harder to get to the hope, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do find that my sense of humor, which can be very inappropriate sometimes.
Oh, no, I love that you raised me with your dark sense of humor. I do wonder, I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. With the technology we have now, how would you have raised me? Because I will say, the amount of kids I see with parents who just put an iPad in front of them to get them to shut up is, it's insane. I see so many.
You may not remember this, but when we lived on South Richblave, we at first didn't have a television.
Yeah, I know.
Right. I didn't want a television.
Yeah.
I wanted you to grow up with music and conversation.
Books.
And those kinds of things. We got a television because your grandparents thought you needed a television. For cartoons and things like that.
I mean, it did bring me Sabrina.
Amen.
And Law and Order at a very young age.
And so, in terms of technology, I would struggle with that, because I also think, and I've seen this even as an adult, how much you've struggled with comparing yourself to other people without understanding that it's just a visual, and we tend to only put out the positive in the visuals, and we don't tend to get into the deep dark secrets of our lives through social media.
Yeah.
So I would have really, I don't know. And yet, I will say I felt better when you had a phone.
Well, that's
because it was safe.
Right.
And I could reach out to you and I knew where you were.
But what's interesting is back then, we didn't have phones where predators could get a hold of you.
No.
Now we do.
Correct.
Which is
yeah.
wild.
So I think I probably would have gotten you one of those phones that was very limited.
Yeah.
That was parent-child only. And it tried to restrict access to a lot of things for you.
Yeah.
As you grow,
Would you have explained why? Because
I would have.
Okay, I figured because
I
kids are going to be
listen
like
to music, but explained what.
Sure.
I felt like you were going to be better prepared for life.
Yes.
If I didn't shield you from those things.
Very true. Yeah.
Just like language. You
Right.
grew up hearing people say words that you weren't going to use.
Right.
And so the point was to say, adults use these words. It's not okay for children to use these words.
Unless you're Brady. Brady's basically my brother from another mother.
Anyway, but yes, and of course. So, yeah, I think that is, that's probably what I would do. And then as you got older, just hope that I had taught you the importance of regulation and reality and research instead of just taking things at face level.
Right. I do think that there is a lot. I wonder now with parents and, the TikTok and Instagram and trends and things like that, what are kids watching? What are kids, what's happening?
Well, there's a whole group of boys that are aligning with this right-wing kind of anti-woman sensibility because they're watching the Tate brothers.
That's exactly what that show was about, adolescence. It was talking about this hatred towards women being okay.
How that creates a cognitive dissonance
right.
in young boys and young men because they may have a positive relationship with a sibling, a sister,
right.
or a mother.
Right.
And yet they're hearing this negativity about women and this just nastiness and what does that mean and how do I react? And so, and, is it okay? Or there's so much awfulness out there. Not that there hasn't always been awfulness, but...
I honestly, this is going to sound wild, but if I were you, I would raise me. If I had a kid, my poor child, if I had a kid, I would raise them like the mother from 2 Weeks to Live raised her kid. Remember, just apocalyptic style. Like we got 3 movies. We're watching Braveheart. We're watching
No, that's not okay.
We're gonna make sure that you're very smart.
To her daughter?
We're gonna make sure you're very smart. I know her daughter rebelled, but we're gonna
got herself into some deep doo-doo.
But
because she was not prepared for the real world.
True, but it made for a great TV show.
It did.
But something similar though to like limited access to a lot of technology, limited access, or just having those controls that keep you from being able to go onto certain sites, or I think Instagram now has like Instagram for teens or something,
right.
Which is, I don't know what that looks like, but I know just from what I see, there are people who I read comments and people are horrendous to each other.
Oh God, yes.
As adults.
Go to next door.
Adults.
Next fucking door. Next door is about...
that's just a gossip column.
It is.
Next door is a gossip column.
And that's not what it's intended to be. And the people who created it needed to come in and say, hey, this does not comply with our standards.
Yeah,
They don't.
It's just...
Same thing that Facebook doesn't do now.
Right.
They don't, none of that
is
monitoring all of the
vitriol and just...
Yeah,
I know. It's
just awful. So anyway, I don't know that I would I think I would restrict you when you're younger, and as you got older, try to create the relationship where you would talk to me about it if I allowed you. So, you can watch this, but let's talk through what you're watching and what you're seeing.
Right.
And a natural part of adolescence is lying. And independence.
Like we
talked about
like
before.
we just talked about, right? Yeah.
So there are going to be those times where you're not going to tell me what you think, where you're not going to tell me the truth.
Right.
I always thought you told me 100% of the truth, and
okay, that's a little delulu.
But I didn't know then what I know now. No, I definitely didn't know then.
Any parent that thinks your kid is telling you 100% of the truth 100%
because you
of
would
the
tell
time,
me things that would make my hair curl.
But I'm just saying anything, anytime. If you're a parent out there and you think that your kid tells you 100% truth 100% of the time, you are lying to yourself.
Amen.
It's not
because I never created a situation where you couldn't come to me and talk to me.
No, not at all.
And yet you still didn't come to me and talk to me.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. How do you think the legacy of our matriarchs shaped how you raised me?
Well, I said this earlier, I tried to lean into the good things in terms of how my mother raised me and the relationship that I had with my mother. And obviously, you were having your own relationship with my mother and kind of leaning into that. And then I also tried to, because my issues with my mother didn't come until adolescence.
Yeah.
And my issues with my mother primarily revolved around her limitations in terms of being a strong woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
To stand up for herself.
Right.
And so I really tried to help you become a stronger woman.
Yeah. And
to lean into who you were.
And externally, I was very hard. Internally, I was pretty soft.
So, again, I don't, I think back to your great grandmother, and she struggled in life probably because the reason she was an alcoholic is it was very hard to be a woman back in those days, and she was highly into. I think all of your great grandmother and your two great aunts were very intelligent women.
Oh, 1,000%.
In a time when women
weren't supposed to be
intelligent.
Right.
And I can only imagine that would be really
frustrating.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. Like thinking on it now, I mean, watching them do crossword puzzles and these trivia questions, and they would just get everything right.
And all of the tomes of knowledge that they read, and it wasn't, or, your Aunt Dot and my Aunt Dot, I mean, she wrote. Now, was it good writing? No, but she was still trying to write.
Might be to someone. Someone might have liked it. Mm-hmm. Well, she's a beautiful model.
She was quite beautiful. And again, I think it was hard because you were beautiful and you were probably struggling with your sexuality at a time when it wasn't okay to be beautiful and struggling with your sexuality.
Oh, was she?
Oh, yeah. We definitely think
that.
So. Yeah. Definitely think so.
Mm-hmm. Oh, see? I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. I did not know that. But that makes a ton of sense. That makes a lot of... Now, looking back on it, she always seemed really lonely.
She was.
I was very sad.
She was very lonely.
It made me very sad. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a large part of that, and if you think back to how she came across in her later years, she always wore the chinos and the button-up shirts, and her hair was short, and she didn't wear makeup, and it was the complete antithesis to who she was
when she was younger. Yeah. Almost like she could be who she really was.
Yeah.
Instead of what the world wanted to see her as.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and there's a reason she couldn't stay married. There's a reason. Well, I shouldn't say anything. I'm not that way, but I can't stay married either, so.
Well, different reasons.
Maybe.
Different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But that's interesting. It's good. It's interesting. I sometimes don't think about the fact that they were very intelligent, and yeah, back in the day, if you said anything, you were lobotomized or, put into you just go stay at the psychiatric hospital for a while. You'll feel better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So it's very different days.
Yeah.
And again, you saw the fact that as a country we were opening and creating more opportunities and embracing that women could bring the same thing to the table as men, and that people of color had equal capacity from an intellectual perspective and from a heart perspective, and things are kind of moving forward, and there's
it really did feel more I feel like all the conversations I had when I was growing up were very progressive.
Yeah.
Everything I saw was like, we're moving forward.
Yeah.
And now we are rewinding in time, and it's terrifying. So.
Well, rewinding in time, and it's not going to come out okay.
No, it's not.
I mean, even if we all just sat back and went, okay, we're going to let this happen.
Which we're not.
Right, amen. Even if we did that, it wouldn't turn out okay.
No.
Because...
But we can't stand idly by.
No, hell no.
Can't have the bystander effect.
When you think about things like Apollo 13, the reason those astronauts were able to come back was because of a woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
But did she get credit until more recently?
No. Right.
And if we pull back on that, then more astronauts are going to die.
Well, I mean, it's also, something I think they just finally put up was a statue of Emmett Till.
Yeah.
And long overdue.
Yeah.
Long overdue. And the fact that that woman who accused him went until she literally died, deathbed confession,
Well, at least she confessed.
At the
There are a lot.
At the very least.
But because she knew her soul was going to rot in hell if she didn't.
Well, but her soul's probably still rotting in hell, let's be real.
So, I think...
I think that we are fighting, and I think that parents are trying to raise their kids to be fighters. I feel like that's what's happening now, is we're having to raise little fighters.
Yep. And you know what? I'm so tired of fighting.
I know.
was really ready
to
eventually get to a place to retire and enjoy life, and what the fuck?
The fight, unfortunately, still continues. But hey...
And I try to remember on a daily basis that
Are you trying to remember?
I'm trying to remember. I am literally trying to remember.
She tries to remember on a daily basis. What is it that you try to
I am trying to remember.
I will say that I try every day to find something good in my day, or find something good in the world, whether it be a person, whether it be a moment, whether it be a piece of music, whether it be, something from, I don't know, ancestors or spirits that I might think is a message. I try to find something light and beautiful in every single day, even in the darkness.
Okay, now I remember what it was I was going to say.
Okay.
There's a lyric in a Leonard Cohen song. I loved Leonard Cohen. And he says there's a crack in everything, and that's where the light gets in.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm literally trying to think, there are so many cracks.
Yeah.
And all that can mean is that the light is going to come in.
Y'all don't know this, but the light is literally coming in behind you as you said that.
Really?
If this was visually recorded, this would have been an epic moment. I'm literally watching it, it was dark and gray, and all of a sudden, as you said, the light, in the cracks, it just got real bright.
It did.
I know.
It's so weird.
It's really weird. Goosebump moment.
It is.
Well, I think we should wrap up. This was a really cool conversation. and interesting for me because I learned some things I didn't know, and I think you're a great mom.
Well, thank you, honey.
I think you're a great fighter. I think
I try.
I think you've
I'm just tired.
done well with me. I think I'm still, working on myself, but that's my
We're
own
all
stuff.
a work in progress.
Yes.
I told that to our staff today. I mean, no one's perfect. We all can continue to learn and grow.
Yes.
And the day you stop learning and growing
It's the day you die.
you die.
Like, true. I love that. Well, thank you all for listening. My dog looks really cute right now.
And if you have a chance, go in and listen to Leonard Cohen's anthem.
Okay, Leonard
It
Cohen's
speaks
anthem.
to what's happening today.
Okay, go have a listen, and we appreciate you. Please feel free to rate, review, subscribe, and share. You can
Share.
always send us an email if you want to hear other topics at larkandmomster@gmail.com, LARKANDMOMSTER@gmail.com.
And we'll try to get back to a more regular schedule. And we've
will.
got some guests that expressed
Yes.
interest, so I'm hoping we can get them on soon.
Yes.
But we have to wait till the house is a little clearer.
Yes, that is true. So
I'm not
hopefully-
inviting people in.
Fair enough. Okay.
It's a fucking mess.
It is a mess. It is. We're getting there. We're getting there. But thank you for listening. We appreciate you. We're sending you lots of love. Remember to see the light in the cracks. And over and out.
Adios.
Amigos.